Also, the shipping conditioner is working well. I left it home, so I didn't use it for a couple weeks, but I love It's like 85 lines. It wasn't like
clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. Look at that. I love that. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Flight attendants and cargo rampers, if you can fill in these seats in the front. We are going to start off with Emmett Doyle performing for us. While he performs, you guys can feel free to grab some pizza, refreshments, grab your seats, and we'll get started here shortly.
How y'all doing today? It's great to see so many people out here. People working at Delta with their families, their loved ones. What y'all are doing is very important. Organizing is one of the best things you can do at this time in this place, right now. If we don't build working class power, no one else is going to build it for us. It's in our hands to do it. And it's not an easy thing. It takes hours, it takes time out of your life, and it puts you at risk. I know there's people in this room who face retaliation from companies. I myself recently actually took retaliatory firing, which is the company I worked at. However, I got news earlier this week that my union challenged them on it and won. But it's good to have that mark off my record and have it not be the slander that they put me through. So I wrote this little song. It's called When the Union Sends the Bulldogs In. I want to thank my union, the Carpenters, for representing me and fighting and for everything we're going to do together in the months ahead. Well, management was out here lying since they caught me organizing. Then the union sent the Bulldogs in. They were gunning just for me. All they got was a ULP. When the union sent the Bulldogs in. You think the workers weren't fit to shine their shoes, staring down their nose at all us rabble on the cruise. But now my boss is so polite at the end of each day, wishing me good night. Since the union sent the Bulldogs in. Well, my BA makes him pay, eats a CEO every day. When the union sends those Bulldogs in. Every clause is a tripwire, breeds grievances like dragon fire. When the union sends the Bulldogs in. If I hadn't organized, I'd probably be screwed. Give you some advice for when they try the same on you. When you're in the boss's sight, whip out your wine-gotten rights. Then the union sends those Bulldogs in. Well, there's just one fact. It's unassailable. Sometimes the pack just ain't available when you need to send those Bulldogs in. You and me, we've got the right to be the dogs in our own fight. We're the union, we're already in. If you stick together, keep tight and keep your cool. You can file a grievance just by laying down your tool. Boss thinks that you're just a cog, but he'll feel the teeth when he wakes the dog. Smell blood, boys! Send the Bulldogs in. The one thing I always love about these Delta rallies is you're not just playing for one union, you're playing for a couple, really. You know, you got the machinists, you got the AFA out here. And I think, just as it's true, you know, going on strike solo is just quitting. That's all that is for a single worker. And just like workers banding together into a union makes us stronger, our unions working together always makes us stronger.
Yeah.
I want to sing you a little song by Woody Guthrie real quick. I'll Ship in the Sky. Well, a curly-headed kid with a sunshiny smile heard the roar of an engine as it soared through the sky. She looked at her friends with a bright twinkling eye, said, "My daddy flies that ship in the sky. Oh, my daddy flies that ship in the sky. My daddy flies that ship in the sky. Mama ain't afraid, so neither am I. My daddy flies that ship in the sky." Well, a pug-nosed kid, he ticked up his heel, and my mama works with the iron and steel. My mom builds those planes that fly through the sky. My mom brings your dad up there so high. Yeah, my mom keeps your dad up there so high. My mom keeps your dad up there so high. My mom builds those planes that fly through the sky, and that's why your dad's up there so high. Well, a shy little girl tucked her toes in the sand, said, "My daddy works in the place where they land. So you can keep tight, you don't have to be afraid. My dad'll bring your dad back home again. And my dad'll bring your dad back home again. My dad'll bring your dad back home again. You can sleep tight, you don't gotta be afraid. My dad'll bring your dad back home again." Well, whether those skies are stormy or blue, to keep the planes flying, it takes the whole crew. The boss tries to break you, but none can divide you workers who fly those ships in the sky. Oh, you workers who fly those ships in the sky. You workers who fly those ships in the sky. Boss tries to break you, but none can divide the workers who fly those ships in the sky. that'll do. No, as we're working and we're organizing, all the time there's the forces trying to disorganize us and keep us apart. And especially forces of racial hatred, forces of sexism, forces of just all sorts of bigotry. And sometimes you can look around at the world today and think, God, it's hard for people to unite. Aren't we more divided than we've ever been? And that's nothing new with the American labor movement. We've fought through this before. And so the final song I want to sing to you tonight is a song and written mostly by women who were organizing in the textile mills in the early 1900s. And they came from all over the world. They actually had to organize in multiple different languages, in Yiddish and Italian and Russian. But you know, the language that really drew them all together was the language of action, of direct action, and of solidarity. And the song is called Bread and Roses. Marching, marching in the beauty of the day. 1,000 darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill-offs gray are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people here are singing bread and roses, bread and roses. Marching, marching, we battle to for men, for they are women's children, we mother them again. Our lives will not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies, give us bread, but give us roses. We go marching, marching, unnumbered women dead. No calling through our singing, their ancients call for bread. Small art and love and beauty, their drudging spirits new. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. Marching, marching, we bring the greater days. The rising of the women means ending of the human race. No more the drudge and the idler, and that toil where one reposes, but a sharing of life's glories. Bread and roses, bread and roses. get through it. Welcome to the rally.
Hello, everyone.
How's everyone doing? I am sorry. How is everyone doing?
What's your name?
My name is Jeremy Semler-Ranahan. I am a Delta flight attendant. I've been flying for 2 years.
My name is Pat Gores. I've been a baggage handler for 9 years here in Minneapolis.
And we will be serving as your masters of ceremony for the afternoon. Some real quick housekeeping before we get started. This Union Hall is equipped with 4 exits, 2 on each side, 1 If you need a restroom, restrooms are through this side right over here to your right.
Yeah, I guess first off, just thank you all for coming. Us standing together, having the community around us, standing with us, is so important and so energizing for us. Thank you for that. And I guess we should first get our first speaker get up here.
Absolutely.
All right, well, I would like to introduce Kara Peterson, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kara Peterson. I am proud to serve as the president of the St. Paul Regional Labor Federation. As an almost 20-year member of the Machinists Union, I am so darn excited to welcome you all to the Labor Center today in solidarity with these workers who are doing powerful organizing to come together in union with the AFA, CWA, and IAM. Always happy to welcome a group like this into our hall, but especially today and this week. It feels so incredibly important for us to be standing in solidarity with workers who are fighting a righteous fight and taking on a big bad boss.
That's right.
So just welcome you all, thanks to all of you for being here. I do want to say, I know that at some point they'll be listing the unions that are in the room, but I want to also say appreciation to President Burnham and Secretary Treasurer Brad Leto from Minnesota AFL-CIO. Solidarity on behalf of our federation, and thank you for being here with us today.
Our next speaker comes to us from the United States Congress, our Congresswoman from Minnesota's 4th District, Betty McCollum.
So, a lot of you don't know who I am, so I'll just mention why I'm able to be here today to be a member of Congress. It was grandfathers who worked for the railroads, who went on strike to have good railroads. It's a grandfather who worked for, at that time, made freezers down on what is now Phelan Boulevard. And I remember him going to the bus, taking his thermos and carrying his folding chair, even though he had just had surgery for varicose veins on his legs from standing so much in one position going on strike. It's because of the men and women who worked in South St. Paul as teachers and at the stockyards that I got a first-class education irrespective of my family's status in town. That's why I'm here. My son, my family, a lot of union members. But I'm going to invoke the name of 2 today. my godfather, who was a baggage handler, hang on to your hats, some of the old timers will recognize his airlines for Braniff. His claim to fame, his back is in the original airport movie. But my mother, and when I have conversations with the airlines when they come into my office and talk to me about things that they wanted to have, fair competition, I'm for that. We talk about other things. The one thing that they know, if they bring up what the conversation's going to be, is about my mother. My mother was a flight attendant. When she got married, they said, "Oh, you can't be a flight attendant anymore." Yeah, she did call herself a stewardess, but that was the term then. And then they put her on the ticket agent flying. She did tickets. And a couple of the employees and a couple of the male employees noticed she wasn't feeling very well very often in the morning. And they helped her out because they knew what would eventually happen to her. She would get a call to go into the office, and my mother's first name was Betty, and they said, "Betty, it's been great having you work for us. You're pregnant. Goodbye." So I know that things have changed and things have gotten a little better. It's very much more difficult to fire someone because they're pregnant right now or because they got married. But now we have other issues with who you're married to and how you will be treated fairly if you're expecting. I fly twice a week back and forth between Washington, D.C. And I always feel safe in a Delta plane. And I feel safe because of all the people on the ground that have done the safety checks and made sure everything's good. That's right. And I feel really safe because I know my luggage is going to be there when I get back. Going back to the flight attendants, I see you. I see my mother in you, or I would say an uncle in you. When you're walking up and down the aisles. I have watched over the years how the working conditions have become more and more challenging. Whether it's COVID, whether it's the intense responsibility you feel with taking care of minors on planes, or those who are disabled and elderly on the plane. That's all on the flight attendants once that door closes. And you deserve the respect and the compensation for taking on those challenges. Absolutely. So this is not my first go around with Delta with attendance organizing and with the ground crew organizing. I hope it's my last because I'm planning on winning in solidarity with all of you. That I will be speaking to other members of Congress. It didn't really go well on the jacket, but I will wear this as I still have on my carry-on luggage tag. One of the luggage tags, and believe me, they see me walk through the halls and onto the plane with it. So Godspeed. We're going to get it done. Thank you so much for including me, and know that you have allies. On a different note, think of your federal employees right now, because I'm leaving to take phone calls. They are losing their jobs, left and right, spreading out loyalty provisions, and those who are the beautiful tapestry of our nation, because of removing protections, are very afraid that they're going to be singled out and fired. So know that we need to stand together in solidarity, every union, every person, and anyone who carries the DFL label. Thank you.
All right, well, next we want to acknowledge all of our brothers and sisters who are in unions, who understand the principle of solidarity and turning out for each other, and how much power that is, and how much fear that strikes into the bosses when people from different industries and different jobs stand shoulder to shoulder. So, we've got MFT. There we go. so sorry if I screw up. There's a lot of acronyms. Not my strong suit. What's that? I'll get there. SPFT. We got the Osseo Teachers Union. Education Minnesota. SEIU. AFSCME. Lyuna. ATU. IUCAP. Building Trades. Teamsters. Grad Workers. News of Workers United. It's the AFL-CIO. MNA. MRLF. We got UFCW that I know they're in a contract fight here pretty soon, and they're going to need you guys to turn out as well. Hey! CWA. IBEW. The Iron Workers. APWU. There we go. Is there anyone I missed?
United Brotherhood of Carpenters.
Lighting Carpenters, all right. AFGE.
MSP 59.
59, there we go. UAW, yeah. The other.
ECTGM, local.
All right.
All right, and then I do have one request. If you are a Delta flight attendant, baggage handler, cargo worker, or tower worker, can you make some noise so we know where you are? Perfect. All right.
Our next speaker is Raquel C.D. Wagner. She is a representative to that, or excuse me. Let's make sure I have this right. Yep, she is. She works with Ilhan Omar, and she is going to read a statement from Ilhan.
Good afternoon, friends. My name is Raquel C.D. Wagner. I have the privilege of serving as Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's campaign manager. The Congresswoman is incredibly sad not to be able to be here with you in person today, so she asked me to come and send her message of support to everyone in this room from far away. America is in the middle of a labor awakening, and the effort led by the Delta airline workers here today is a powerful example of that. We know for a fact that when workers have a seat at the table, their lives improve. Higher wages, better benefits, a safer workplace, and a more sustainable business model. And when workers like you win these fights, we know working people across the board do better. Corporate leaders are opposed to unions because they know that it makes it harder for them to take advantage of their workers. That's it. That's the reason. Don't let empty promises or fear-mongering lead you to doubt the power that union membership would bring. It is the oldest trick in the book, and we all know it. Thank you, Delta workers, for showing us that the people who hold the power in this country aren't those with deep pockets or a corner office. It is the people who literally make our country move. Thank you.
We would also like to take a moment to acknowledge all of the elected officials that are here today. Obviously, Betty McCollum, Keith Ellison, Omar Fateh. Special note for Omar. Omar has come to organizing meetings at 11 o'clock at night to help with our rampers in organizing in the East African population of their workforce. So thank you. Katie Jones, Frank Hornstein, Kayla Berg, Emily Kosky, titles as well. So Arun is a Minneapolis City Council member. Dr. Dwayne Davis is a candidate for Minneapolis Mayor. In the event of an emergency, oxygen masks will. Soren Stevenson is a candidate for Minneapolis City Council, Ward 8. Jameson Whiting is a candidate for Minneapolis City Council, Ward 11. Colin Beachy from the Minneapolis School Board. Greta Callahan from the Minneapolis School Board and Uriah Ward from St. Paul School Board. Elliot Payne, Minneapolis City Council member. Jeremiah Ellison, Minneapolis City Council member. Michael Wilson, candidate for Minneapolis Park Board. Bernie Burnham, president of Minnesota AFL-CIO. Leah Van Dorser, president of SPFT. Tony McGarvey, president of the Painters Union. Kieran Knutson, president of CWA. Carla Bingham, Washington County Commissioner. And we will be giving a special call out here to Aisha Chungtai and Robin Wansley shortly, but they are in attendance. They are both Minneapolis City Council members. Is there anybody that we missed? Look at that. Let's see this.
All right, so our next speaker is someone who I was ready to rip down trees the first time I heard her speak this summer. So no pressure. Hopefully the energy stays up. She is president of MFT and played a huge part in George Floyd Square. Marcia Howard.
This is only fitting because I got off a flight this past week. I flew Delta. And of course I had to do my little gift of gab while I was getting on that flight. And of course I was wearing my Black Lives Matter Delta pennant because the flight attendants unit, the flight attendants union gave that to me. Yeah. I got to talk to you real quick. My name is Marcia Howard. As he said, I am the newest president of Minneapolis Federation of Teachers Teacher Chapter, right? Queen Katina Neal Taylor is here. She is the president of the Educational Support leader, my president, Greta Callahan, who now works for y'all. And I was ready to tear up some trees when she marched my union onto 38 in Chicago in 2020. And I need to tell you why that was significant. See, I live off 38th Street. And on May 25th, 2020, my student filmed the lynching of George Floyd. And that was 263 steps from my front door. Because when I became a teacher in 1998, I wanted to live in the neighborhood in which I taught, so I did. And in member of Minneapolis Federation of Teachers Union, okay?
Yeah.
So when she filmed that death, that murder, that lynching, and hundreds and then thousands of people came into my neighborhood, I went outside. And then I stayed outside. Y'all remember it was during COVID. I went on then Snapchat, Miss Howard, RHS. My online presence was just me as a teacher. And I said, you have all passed. You all have credit. Be safe. Be COVID cautious. Seek justice. I closed it up and I did not go back to work. Not May 27th, not May 28th. I did not go back to work. I took a leave of absence. And then one day, I saw a sea of blue. And my union president marched my union siblings into that square, what was then being called George Floyd Square, and they said, we got your back. And because I had taught by 2020 about 21 years, I had all kind of sick leave. And I definitely took it. I took it. Hold up, though. It had eventually run out. May, June, school out. I got the summer. August, September, October, November, and even then it ran out. Y'all know my union. My union said, you already organize in your community. Let's hire you as a community organizer. Stay outside. My union had my back. George Floyd Square is now the longest running urban autonomous zone in American history. We still got it. It is what it is. They say, no justice, no streets. And we mean that shit. All right? But more importantly, in 2 years, something weird happened. Teachers who had marched because of brown kids in cages, teachers who had marched because of Jamar Clark, teachers who had marched because of black and brown and indigenous lives, started marching for themselves, started marching for getting kids more mental health services. They started marching for higher pay, and they started marching lockstep with educational support professionals. I need to be very clear. The ESPs are hourly workers. The teachers got our license. I've been teaching at this point 26 years. I'm a bougie little, you know. We 2 contracts under one union, right? We like cousins under the same roof. You know what I mean? And when I was 12 years old, I lived with my Uncle Walt and Aunt Kathy. We came from south side of Chicago, moved to Little Rock, and they were like, we thought it was the Huxtables, right? Really. And I slept on the floor on a pallet. I don't know if y'all know what that means. And my cousins, them, they lived good. And mama budget was her budget. And their budget was their budget. They had the penny loafers and but we were cousins under the same roof. So if I was getting into a scrap, they was like, right? We cousins under the same roof. So with our strike, the first strike we ever had in 51 years, we were lockstep. Their demands are demands. We got a center, the people who make the least in the party. Because what that looked like, knowing what I make, 20 some odd years in the game, versus somebody that don't make. When I'm leaving work, knowing that my colleague got to leave and go get another job, don't cry for me, Argentina. Like, come on now. But what I want is what I want, and what I need is what I need, but what they deserve is what they deserve, and I'm telling you now, whether you are a flight attendant or you a ramp worker, you a baggage handler, y'all all deserve what you deserve. Eggs cost the same, no matter what part of the plane you at. Eggs cost the same. Rent costs the same, no matter what part of the plane you working on. Your car payment is the same. So y'all got to be thinking as this big group collectively, how are we going to manage to stand side to side, shoulder to shoulder collectively? And I'm telling you, it's going to be here in the Twin Cities. It's going to be here. They calling it all across the nation the Minnesota model, the Minneapolis model, the Twin Cities model. Because I don't know what's up in the water, but for whatever reason, we got that fuck around and find out. Right now on a Saturday. But every step that we take towards making those gains and making those goals, you're going to get that little win after little win after little win, and then you're going to look back at it like, God dang, we done moved on up. And what that does is they going to see us from all the way over in Wisconsin like, dang, what they doing over there? Right? Right? But they even gonna be looking at you from Portland, right? They gonna look at you from Portland. They gonna look at you from Arizona. They gonna look at you from Rhode Island. They gonna be looking at you from Ohio. They gonna look at you from they gonna be looking at you from Montana. Yeah. Stop shaking. They are going to look at you because the solidarity that comes in this place, in the way in which you move, has been unquestionable. That type of solidarity that you display in the way in which you show up. And I'm not saying, oh, y'all, dislocate your shoulder, pat yourself on the back. But I am saying that you got something to be proud of. And it's only the beginning. You got to remember, you center the people that make the least in the front. I'm telling you this right now. Because the people that make the most, the propensity for any organization, and people going to be over here like, I don't even know why they... You got to stop with that. Because ain't nobody in here making more than somebody at a desk somewhere. And y'all know who I'm talking about. That's making the most off y'all back. Because there's somebody that is a baggage handler, or somebody that's working on the ramp, or somebody that's just like in the heat, in the cold. Come on, y'all. And they all got to eat. And they all got bills to pay. And quiet as it's kept, everybody got college stuff they got to pay off. Shit, MCTC still eating my stuff up. Look. It is so important that the way in which you show up, this is beyond political lines, this is beyond race, this is beyond age, this is beyond gender, it's beyond gender expression, it's beyond everything. This is about being a worker. And I'm telling you right now, when we talk about the labor movement, I need y'all to consider yourselves workers who are leaning into a long history in the United States. It ain't much in my 52 black-ass years that I am proud of. I'm a retired Marine. I was a non-commissioned officer in the Marine Corps. But the thing that I am most proud of is being in a union. So don't be scared. Don't be scared. uncertainty and doubt. This idea that you're not going to make it to where you're trying to go. You're going to make it, just keep going. Just keep going. And go together. And whenever you're like, dang, are we doing this the right way? And am I listening to the right person? Is my steward doing this? Is the leader doing this? It's you. You. Who the union?
You.
Yeah. Union starts with you. It's you. It ain't the union. It's you. Right. Whatever the union doing or not doing, that's you. That's you. That's you. And if you tired that day, sit down for a second. I can bring this up from the military. We don't fight on the front line every single day. Sometimes you go to garrison, you rest for a second, somebody else will come up there and they'll do that fight. And then when they've done their little skirmish, they go sit back for a second and somebody else. There may be somebody that's new to all this fighting and stuff, right? Go look. Don't be creepy about it, but if you see somebody with some chutzpah about them, be like, you know what, you look like a strong union person. I see something about you. Get them involved. Get the young ones involved. Yeah. I'm telling you, you start feeling yourself after a while. You feel something. When you start feeling that solidarity, it's, gang, right? I am proud to be in Minneapolis Federation of Teachers. I am proud to be in the Twin Cities. I am proud to be amongst y'all, and I'm proud to stand with you because I'm going to tell you this. We're going to be with you every step of the way.
With and anyone in Minneapolis and Detroit. She is the associate organizer that was assigned to not just one station, but 2 of Delta's hubs. And I don't know how much I want to embarrass you, but you are such an embodiment of understanding, letting the workers lead this, and just be such a fantastic facilitator, as well as understanding that when there's something that needs to be done, you've just gotten up and done it. You haven't made a big gesture about volunteering for it. I don't think there's, from our side of this campaign, I don't think there's ever an ability, we'll never have enough time to say thank you for all the work that we know you put in, all the extra stations you've adopted, the hours that I know happen outside of 9 to 5, the weekends, the nights, the extra traveling, the phone calls, the texts. You are an absolute rock star. Thank you for being here. Tiffany Lopez, please.
Thank you all. Thank you. And thank you, Pat, for, I am so honored to be in this fight with you guys. And it's not about me. It is about you. As long as you keep fighting, you're gonna win.
Yes.
You're gonna win. It's been a long road. It seems like a long road, but as the person before me said, as long as you just keep taking those steps, you're gonna get there. Delta wants to have you think and continue to manipulate you into thinking you don't deserve better. They want you to settle. They want you to think that this is all there is. And don't get me wrong, there are some great things about Delta. I fly Delta sometimes. I love being able to get on the plane and know that everything is going to usually go smooth. So, it is good. But there's nothing wrong with wanting more. There's nothing wrong with meeting and demanding the respect and the dignity you deserve. You're not just a flight attendant. You're not just a ramp agent. You're not just somebody shuffling boxes and luggage around. You are the reason the company gets the millions and millions of dollars. I just want to continue to encourage you to keep going, keep fighting, and look around the room at all the people just in this moment that are standing in solidarity. Imagine nationwide. Imagine nationwide. Thank you.
Our next speaker is a Minneapolis-based flight attendant who, when I stepped into the campaign a little over a year ago, took me under his wing right away. And I wouldn't be, Minneapolis and this entire campaign would not be where it is without him. Gerard comes to us. He was previously Northwest Airlines. Was then absorbed by the merger. And so our next speaker here is Gerard Anderson.
Good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? My name is Gerard Anderson, and I just want to say that I'm honored to be able to speak here today about my experience with Northwest and Delta Airlines. I've been here for 30 years now, and I stand before you today in this uniform because I had a union. 30 years ago, another employee leveled a false accusation against me, one that could have cost me my career. But because I had a union, I'm standing here in my uniform today. By Northwest Airlines under a concessionary contract with a promise of a snapback plus 3% raise once the company resumed profitability. The company did not live up to that promise once they began getting profits, but because of our union, we finally received our just due. The new contract, AFA, which was our union at the time, fought for an industry-leading agreement, and we got just that. After 9/11, when all the airlines teetered on bankruptcy, our company asked for over $300 million in concessions and layoffs from our work group alone. Our union had access to the financial records of the company and found almost $50 million in overreach. Not one job was lost, and when we exited bankruptcy, our union fought on our behalf, and each flight attendant received on average $17,000. Union achievements moved me to become an activist. I became a base rep in Minneapolis and also the vice chair of our member engagement committee. This is now my third campaign to unionize our Delta flight attendants. In those previous campaigns, I've witnessed fear and intimidation at Delta, from custom-made anti-union clothing for managers to wear in our lounges, to glossy mailers and being inundated with emails and videos of Delta's anti-union stance. I've been a victim of attacks by colleagues and management with no repercussions. I've witnessed company computers being used during our GOTV as managers coerced flight attendants to vote on those very computers and stood behind them while they did so.
That ain't right.
Now more than ever, we need representation. We've fallen behind our peers at American, Southwest, and Alaska Airlines. And with the political warfare against DE&I, we must have an instrument in place to ensure fairness in our workplace. In closing, I want to thank each of you for being here to support us as we move closer to filing for an election. And I want you to know that I, along with hundreds of my colleagues nationwide, will never give up our fight for equality and justice in our workplace. We will win this fight.
Our next speaker has been with Delta Airlines for 14 years. He'll tell you that. But first off, I get the privilege of calling him one of my best friends. He is somebody who exemplifies so much of the servant side of things. So I'm sure all of you union organizers and just organizers in general have heard, if you're so unhappy about it, why don't you leave? If it's so bad, why don't you leave and find something else? We agree that that is just the coward's way out. That growing up we're taught to fight for each other, to love each other, and to care for each other. And one of the most important things that we've talked about when we're working flights is that one of the fundamental things we were told growing up was that the greatest sacrifice you can give is to lay down your life for another person. And we realize that that doesn't necessarily mean death. That means standing up and fighting for them all the time. And I get to watch him have this experience and live that out day in and day out. So everybody please welcome Rob Levine.
Love you too, sir. Thanks, Pat, for that introduction. And thank you all for choosing me and allowing me to speak to you all today. Not just the labor community in Minneapolis, our coworkers and flight attendants, but my work group, Delta's Ramp Cargo and Tower Agents. I've been proudly for 14 years. With me today are my wife and 2 kids. Because when we win, this victory is as much ours as it is theirs. We're not just raising up ourselves, the industry, but families and generations across the globe. I want my children here because I want them to learn something that I learned from my parents with 65 years in union labor. There's power in the workplace with the union. I started at Delta in 2010. It's been 14 years now. I was the first class post-merger to step foot at Delta Airlines. I was there for that union campaign. I was there when we ultimately lost the vote. I remember my coworkers with 40 years into the industry. Some of them are here today. I remember the defeat that felt like. I remember the incoming disrespect that they all talked about. I talked to one of my coworkers. I said, what do you want me to say to people at this rally? He said, hopelessness. That's what we felt for 14 years at Delta Airlines, day in and day out, hopelessness. But we're not going to talk about hopelessness because that's going to change. I'm not going to talk about our pay scale and our retirement and how we fall behind every one of our competitors that we beat day in and day out. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about sick time or OJI time because we don't have that. I'm not going to talk about our shit-ass healthcare that's changed 3 times in the last 4 years. Shame! If you want to know stats, you can talk to Dan or Pat. They know them off the top of their head. Sweetie, I'm going to say some words, don't repeat them. I'm going to talk about respect. Do you feel respected by Delta Airlines? No. Respect is not being told by your managers, we messed up, when you and your crew just loaded a plane in a lightning storm and you watched your plane get struck by lightning. Tell that to my kids and my family, we messed up. Something could have happened to us, we messed up. That's not respect. That's right. Respect is not fearing that you're going to lose your full-time schedule every 6 months because when the company wants to make $4.7 billion instead of 4.6, they come to the ramp to make cuts first. And once they're done with us, they'll come for the rest of us. Respect is not having us fill out countless numbers of surveys year in and year out where we recently had to rank our benefits. Delta, you made $4.6 billion. You can afford to make us the industry leaders the way that we made you the industry leaders. For 14 years since that last union election, we have experienced Delta's disrespect, their broken promises, and that open door policy that when we try to use it is locked. But in those 14 years, we're the ones that built Delta the most powerful and profitable airline this country and aviation has seen. Speaking to my Delta cargo and ramp and tower agents, we're the ones in sub-zero temperatures getting frostbite. We're the ones breathing in forest fire smoke. We're the ones in the unventilated bins. You think 100 degrees is hot, add on 40 degrees to that in those bins. It's unforgivable. Bump cap on top of that. In the system outage, we are the ones that worked hours long to make sure our passengers get there. We didn't hop on a plane to Paris for the Olympics like Eddie Boy did. We are now done talking about what we don't have. We're going to start talking about what we're about to get. Respect is our profit sharing being a bonus and not just a catch up to make us competitive with our Respect is going into a meeting with management not alone. Respect is having us have a say in our scheduling and our safety and our equipment that we use. These are things that we can get with the union. We will get with the union. Now, you've heard a lot how close we are. 2.5 years we've been at this. How many cards we've signed. If your cards were good for 2 years, I wouldn't be speaking. We would have had a union on property last May. We have the support. We have the momentum. We just need you. You hear Rome wasn't built in a day. If you're present here today, if you're on the live, if you're clicking on this link 2 weeks from now, this is your wake-up call. The sooner we get involved, the sooner we get to that election. So this is our time to start talking to our new hires. Start collecting cards. If you're on a downline station, you're not alone. We've got 50 ramp workers in here right now standing with you in solidarity. Woo. When we win, we will not only shock the aviation industry, but we will shock the labor world. When we win, we will bring back hope to the ramp. When we win, our families and our children will know that, yeah, the underdog did win in this story. When we win, we will get the best fucking contract this industry has ever seen. And from here on out, Delta, you will make sure that you respect us and respect our labor.
We still got some more to go, but when you guys want to run through some walls, like I'm ready to go. Our next speaker has tasted both defeat and victory in their organizing. They were working on organizing Surly Brewery a few years ago, if you remember that, and then Surly pulled some shenanigans, let's say. They closed that operation down, but this person has had success in being a vital part in organizing the First Avenue workers under Unite Here. So let's have Megatron come on up. No? Uh-oh.
He's organizing.
Yeah. Right, out organizing. Okay, well, a little odd. Well then, we will move on to our next speaker. Becca is someone who came to our campaign as a flight attendant about 6 months ago. Just started showing up to a couple socials, wanted to kind of see what it was about, and the sky has been the limit ever since she has joined us, and I am so proud of all the work that she has done and continues to do day in, day out. Our next speaker is Becca Mertes.
I have been at Delta Airlines for about 3 years now. Although I have not been here long, it did not take Delta long to help me decide that unionization is the only answer. We all have different reasons for wanting our union, which are all valid and worth listening. So I do want to thank everyone here for being here today. Your presence is more than just a statement. It is a clear sign to Delta that we are strong together and we are serious about our fight. Woo, yeah. Delta the way we are not afraid, and we are not afraid to claim our right to unionization. Woo. Yeah. Many of us here have felt the injustice and inconsistencies in the gray area. You know what I'm talking about? Gray area. We are forced into unreasonable expectations and unfair treatment every day. We have no protections, yet we still show up. Why?
You make it run.
Yeah, exactly. No, because we are dedicated, we are well trained, and we are committed to our work that keeps Delta moving.
Yeah!
Delta going. Delta has proven time and time again that it will take contracts, it will take rules, and it will take a voice at the table for them to do what is right for us.
That's right.
The work we do is not easy, it's really demanding, it can be dangerous at times. But no one should have to risk their well-being for a paycheck that doesn't reflect their own value. Yeah. When we come together in solidarity, we are an unstoppable force. We have been told time and time again that our efforts do not matter. The hours we put in, the sacrifices we will make, it just doesn't make a difference in forming our future. Well, our future is a binding contract union.
Yeah.
We do owe it to ourselves, to our families, and the future generations of Delta workers to ensure that the next step is written in black and white with fairness and respect.
Our next speaker is another baggage handler. She is someone who, the first time I got to sit in at one of our organizing meetings, first time she came in, I was ungodly intimidated and frightened of her. Not because she is a mean, grumpy woman. She is a kind, sweet, loving person. but I was intimidated because I knew her reputation. I was told that she was a fighter, and getting to know her and having I would say like a very deep friendship where she's helped me through things, and not even organizing things, but like just genuine life things, really showed me like the depth of the heart that you need to be a good organizer. And also, I would be pissed scared if I was a manager who ever had to sit across from her at a table. So with that, I'm going to give you the please come up.
Speakers today, but I'll give it a shot. How about that? So I would like to say hello to all the Delta flight attendants, ramp, cargo, tower. You are the most beautiful thing that I see standing out here. To our community, to our leaders, and to our state and legislative people who are here with us today, who is making this possible. This is an amazing thing. I am not sure how much I'm going to add to what has already been said, but the speakers that have gone before me has made it very hard for me right now at this moment. What I can say is that I'm honored to share the platform with some of you I know and some of you I don't know, but I'm sure I will get to know you. This has been an amazing journey working beside so many of the organizers, union supporters, community activists, and so many state leaders that I have gained so much knowledge and wisdom from all of you. This has not been an easy task, but a necessary one that has stretched our mind, bodies, and souls, and has made us rely solely on our faith to keep this drive moving. As we move the needle closer to an election, we have proved beyond measures that we are stronger together. I want you to look around the room today. Really stop. Look around the room today. This is what togetherness looks like. When you look at each other. Also, I would like to give an honorable mention to someone that is true and dear to my heart. Someone who was an activist, an organizer, someone that played a major role in me standing here today. If it wasn't for this man that I am about to talk about, not even I would be standing here. He plays the place for me to be here and so many of us to be here. I'm talking about Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah. Dr. King was a father. He was a friend. He was a husband. He was a teacher. He was a preacher and so many other things that I could name. But what brings me to Dr. King is, a few years back, I wrote a letter to Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines, if some of you may know about the letter, some of you may not know about the letter. But Delta did one of the most heinous things that they could have ever done to black people and to me as a person. They did a 6-minute video about Dr. King. But what Delta failed to do in that video was, if you didn't know what you were looking at as a flying passenger, you would have said, oh, what an amazing job Delta did. But Delta did a horrible job because all they did was talk about what Dr. King lived for, but they did not have the decency to say what he died for. Dr. King died so that I could be standing here. Dr. King died for all of us organizers to be in here. Dr. King gave his life, and that's what Delta left out. But I also, in that letter I wrote to Delta, I invited all of their VPs, their senior VPs, EVPs. I even invited Ed Bastian himself. Did they show up? Delta, did they show up? No! They did not show up. But what I would like to do right now at this moment, before I come to an end of my speech, I would like for all Delta Ramp, Cargo Tower, and IAM personnel to stand up, please. international machinist. Did James make it or did he not make it? He did not make it. Okay, but what I would like to say is something that we don't always get to do with our leaders. We don't always get to say thank you. We don't always get to, we say it, but we don't say it in the timing. But I want to say thank you to the IAM. The IAM on that day when we were driving to Memphis, Tennessee, I want you to know just how they stood with Delta workers. Delta, I wrote the letter and I asked the IAM for support. They didn't waver. The IAM took that drive with us from Atlanta, Georgia to Memphis, Tennessee, and back from Memphis, Tennessee, back to Atlanta, Georgia. That whole trip I cried. No one could see all the tears that were running down my face. Because a little girl out of Mississippi, where I come from, that wasn't supposed to happen. So a little girl from Mississippi out of a little town who is getting to stand here on this stage today was impossible to happen. But this shows me that the impossible can always be made possible. And because of the IAM, they made it. Things that I could say, but I know I'm on a limited time. Maybe we'll get to that another time. But as I bring this speech to an end, as I was driving into work the other day, I thought about the speech because I had lost my voice. I wasn't even sure if I would be able to speak here. My friend Dan McCurdy was sitting on the side to be able to take over this. But the one thing that came to me as I was driving in, and it just stood in my head. And I won't hold you long, but I want to tell you about a friend of mine that I met named Hope. So you see, a long time ago, I met Hope and her sister Faith. But today I want to tell you about hope. Because what we need today in this world, we need a lot of hope. What we need today in this world to fight against companies like Delta Airlines, we need a lot of hope. But I want to tell you this morning when I woke up, I didn't think I would be able to do this, but Hope said, you have to go. Hope said, this too shall pass. Hope said, nothing is too big for me, not even this union drive. Hope told me, don't you forget about my sister Faith, because Faith will see you through. Hope also told me that what you can't see, I can see. So hope will bring us to the finish line. Hope will get us to the end. And hope will deliver us a union vote. So if we believe in hope today, tomorrow, and always, let hope be our leading guide. And if you believe in hope, stand on your feet and give hope a hand clap, because imagine that day leading up to the death of Dr. Martin Luther King and the words that he said. But one of the most powerful things that has stood in my heart and will always stand in my heart, and I want to leave this with you all today. Some of you may know this here, some of you may not know this here. But Dr. King said, me paraphrasing in his tone, by all means, if you can't fly, you run. If you can't run, you walk. If you can't walk, you crawl. But whatever you do, you don't stop moving. So today, people, we have to keep moving. We have to keep fighting. When Delta keep pushing backwards, keep moving. When the world seems like it's not going to work on our behalf, we must keep moving. And I will end with a quote to my co-workers, to my ramp cargo tower and flight attendants. This can be done. This will be done. This shall be done. Now let's get it done.
All right, so Delta workers, we can do a whole bunch of things on our own, but one of the things as we've been involved in this is realizing that the working class stands up for each other and hustles and works alongside each other, knowing that even though they may not directly immediately benefit from our win, but they know that rising tide raises all boats. One win turns into 2 wins, turns into 5 wins, and continues on. So, with that in mind, we have a couple asks for you, if you're feeling so moved, I guess. We have supporter packs of flyers, pins, buttons. Wear them when you travel. Wear them even if you're on the light rail. I live near a light rail stop. I see a whole lot of flight attendants going back and forth on that. As for us, we're doing something called Solidarity Saturdays. Every other Saturday, the flight attendants and the baggage handlers are getting together. We're stuffing envelopes to send mailers across the system. We're doing phone calls. We're trying to do what we can here to reach out as far as we can. To channel this energy tonight, channel it into our coworkers that may not have the ability to be here. So if you're interested in some of those things, there's tables in the back, there's sign-ups. Please go visit, talk to them. A whole bunch of the people up against the glass are Delta workers. Connor right there, we'll talk to everybody.
Our next speakers to come up are 2 Minneapolis City Council members. City of Minneapolis has put together a resolution in... It's dead. Is it on? Hey, that magic. We have 2 city council members from the... Hands up. Hands up.
Speak louder.
Robin Wansley and Aisha Chugtai from the Minneapolis City Council. If you could come up, please.
So it's this mic is kind of low. But yeah, we'll project. Y'all can hear, right? All right, we have ethnic value on our side. It is such a pleasure to be able to present this resolution. Again, we had the honor of passing this about 2 years ago when I joined you all the first time. And I'm so glad to have our Council Vice President presenting this a second time where we get to honor our fierce Delta leaders in this room and just let you all know that the City of Minneapolis stands alongside you and we support you in this fight. So we'll read the resolution. All right. So whereas the Minneapolis 2040 goals as adopted by the Minneapolis City Council include living wage jobs, reduce disparities, a healthy, sustainable, and diverse economy, a proactive, accessible, and sustainable government, and other goals that are made more possible through union density and
whereas the City of Minneapolis as an employer has long-standing policies of card check neutrality, recognizing a union when the majority of a workforce signs union cards, and committing to allow City of Minneapolis employees to discuss unionization free from threats, intimidation, anti-union propaganda, anti-union meetings, and lawsuits. And
whereas 50,000 employees of Delta Airlines across the nation are organizing unions in a coalition with the International Association of Machinists, Association of Flight Attendants, and the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. And
whereas the largest ongoing union campaign, this is the largest ongoing union campaign in the country, and
whereas the union campaign involves over 1,000 ramp and cargo workers, 1,500 flight attendants, and 800 mechanics at the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport, and
whereas Delta Airlines has a history of opposing unions, and
that sucks. Real sucky. Whereas Delta Airlines has the lowest union density of any major airline. So bad.
Whereas workplace issues that are motivating support for unionization include employee experiences with arbitrary discipline, staffing shortages, and safety concerns, and desire for a secure retirement through a pension, raises that keep up with inflation, and defined and consistent rules and procedures. And
whereas, and I know this figure is a lot much more higher, and it was garnered on the backs of you all's labor, but whereas Delta is a highly profitable airline with a gross profit of over $4.7 billion, at least in 2022, and Delta CEO Ed Bastian is the highest paid. Moments for moves. And Delta CEO Ed Bastian is the highest paid CEO of a major airline with a 2021 total compensation of over $12 million.
oh, is it
34. 34.
I'm sorry.
That's crazy.
It's gone way up.
I did say the numbers was a little outdated, so we will wipe out this and update that in the city of Minneapolis records. And whereas,
okay, so now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Minneapolis that the City of Minneapolis stands in solidarity with Delta Airlines workers organizing unions with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, International Association of Machinists, and the Association of Flight Attendants.
and being further resolved that the city of Minneapolis urges Delta Airlines to practice neutrality towards all unions and to abstain from any forms of intimidation, interference, or other actions meant to discourage workers from unions. So thank you.
I just recommend doing that. Right.
Oh, there we go. That sounds good.
Perfect. So immediately following our next speaker, Emmett Doyle will be leading us in singing Solidarity Forever. Lyrics are printed out on the back tables if you need them. Our final speaker is someone who has and will continue completely uproot the entire labor movement for the better. She is someone that I personally look up to as a flight attendant, a leader, and a friend. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome AFA International President Sarah Nelson.
Marching, marching, we bring the greater days, 'cause the rising of the women means the rising of the race. No more our lives shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starved as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses.
Thank you for singing that up front, Emmett, but just had to reiterate the part about the rising of the women will be the rising of the race. I'm so honored to be in this room with all of you, with the labor movement. Focusing on the largest private sector organizing election of this size. And since Delta Airlines merged with Northwest and stamped out the contracts for flight attendants and for ramp workers and baggage handlers and tower workers, they then went to change the Railway Labor Act for the first time in 80 years to require that workers, in order to file for an election, had to have a majority of physical cards signed within a year. That was their focus. Now, I'm going to pull back for just a minute and talk to you about how I got here. I'm a 28-year union flight attendant. I was studying to be a high school English teacher. Got my degree, was planning to be a teacher, was working in St. Louis, did my student teaching in the fall after graduating from college, spent the next 6 months working 4 jobs, substitute teaching, working at a home store so I could have a discount to try to get a few things for my apartment, waiting tables because I believe everyone in the country should have to wait tables. And working for a temp agency where they sent me to a healthcare insurance company where I was filing files and I would see the same names come through week after week. Denied, denied, denied. Serious, I wasn't supposed to look in the files, but I'm just going to admit that I did take a little haircut. I was curious. These were serious illnesses. And I'm starting to see they're putting them through the ringer to try to make them be tired and give up on their rights to life. That's what capitalism will do. Let's be really serious here. You know, a lot of people were talking about, oh no, we're going to lose our democracy, and we might. But they're talking about that like democracy just sort of lives and breathes on its own. Well, you know what? This is what the backdrop of capitalism. And when you have the corporate elite pushing on the President of the United States in 1981 to fire the air traffic controllers who were on strike. Okay? Who were on strike to fight for better pay, who were on strike to fight for a 32-hour work week, who were on strike to set a new standard for all of us, who were on strike for safety standards so that aviation can be safe. And the President of the United States fired them and sent some of them to jail and told corporations all over this country it was open season on unions. Drag them into strikes that they can't win and get rid of the union. Pass trade deals that send jobs overseas and get rid of the union. Put people in such a desperate position that they are begging for work. And for 50 years, the boss has been telling us, you should feel lucky to have a job. For the next 50 years, we're going to stand together and make damn sure they feel lucky to have our work. With you, but the important stories and words that we heard today were from Jeremy and Pat, from Gerard, Rob, Becca, and Amanda. These are the workers who are fighting against all odds to take on the airline that is making more money than any airline in the aviation industry on the backs of their work. that they don't want you to hear about. Right here in this room, we have an amazing representative who is responsible for getting rid of captive audience meetings in Minnesota, Kayla Bird. An Endeavor Airlines flight attendant. Endeavor is a wholly owned carrier of Delta Airlines. And there are tiers in aviation too that we need to get rid of. Regional airlines and the workers there are defined as being less valuable than their mainline counterparts. This is another way to try to divide workers and try to pit us against each other. So, Kayla works with a contract because AFA represents the Endeavor flight attendants. So there is actually a union for flight attendants at Delta. And when the operational meltdown happened, even though they were making 45% less than their counterparts at Delta, they had scheduling rules that got them home, that got them hotel rooms, that got them paid for those trips and their time, while Delta flight attendants had none of that. But this is how greedy Delta is. Ed Bastian, as you heard before me, $34 million last year. Okay? Half of that would have equalized the pay for the 1,700 Endeavor flight attendants. Organizing at Delta is also about taking and holding capital accountable for the immoral systems that they put in place to try to pit workers against each other and define us as something else. Attendant in 1996. It was on the backs of, it had been 11 years, but if you were working at United Airlines, you would have thought it was last week. The pilot strike of 1985, where the flight attendants went out in sympathy with the pilots, not to get anything, but to show management that they had to fucking respect us too. We were only supposed to talk to about safety issues and the people whose bags were going to go to Tokyo when they were going to Des Moines. Which side are you on? So that was my training. But you know what? The airlines usually have a way of organizing us, and Becca signaled that too. United Airlines forgot to give me my first paycheck. And it was a flying partner who wrote me a personal check to help me get through, got me involved in the union, and I understood very quickly that when I called the union, I got my paycheck the next day. But being in a union means that you're never alone. Right. Being in a union means we can make the most out of the care that we have for each other and make the most out of it. So I got involved in the union, and I was a little bit of a dissident voice. Because I didn't think that the contract that we negotiated was good enough for the people that I had met. And so got really involved, and people kept giving me another job or another job. Pretty soon I was serving as national strike chair. And then September 11th hit. And on that day, the flight that I often worked, Flight 175, flew into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. And my friends, Amy and Michael, Catherine, Amy, Al, Alicia, Robert, Marianne, and Jesus, I know the exact moment that they lost their lives, and so do all of you, because every camera was trained on that site because American Airlines Flight 11 had hit the North Tower 17 minutes earlier. And we got together and started to talk about how we were going to honor our friends and how we were going to pick up with the new world that we were facing. And that next day, there was a special flight
that was given clearance to fly into Boston Logan when no other flights were able to land, so that someone from world headquarters in Chicago could go and tell us that we had to pull together and get back to work because the company was hemorrhaging money. And what I learned going forward, being so involved in our union, is that on that day when we were mourning and trying to make sense of this, and when our government was already planning to go to war so that they could get cheaper oil, not because we were actually at war with other workers around the world. And here in this country, they found a new way to try to divide, to try to make us Islamophobic, to try to attack Muslims, to try to have us believe that there are certain people who are not part of us in the United States of America. These are the oldest tactics of the boss. Racism, sexism. They want us to believe that we should have an idea about who somebody can love, how they identify, how they feel at home in the way that they present themselves, and they use all of these things to try to keep us divided and keep us from using the power that we have together. Yep. So, what I learned in that moment is that there were crisis capitalists. While we were sticking together, trying to hold each other together and talk about how we were going to come together as a United States of America in this great moment of despair. And there were crisis capitalists who were planning to use those divisive tactics to redefine the value of a flight attendant, a pilot, a mechanic, a baggage handler, how to outsource our sky caps and our kitchens so that they can create more and more tiers and make people work for poverty wages. Yep. The immoral phrase, the working poor, is something that we have to stamp out. Yeah. We want to make good. Classroom when we would look up at that flag and say every morning the Pledge of Allegiance, ending with indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, Amanda, where's Amanda? Thank you for bringing up Dr. King, because, you know, I don't know what else happened this week, but this week was about celebrating Dr. King. Nothing else going on in my world. All right. But Dr. King talked with us about the real American dream. How we can sit down with each other at the table of brotherly love. And sisterly, Dr. King, I'm just going to add that in. And how when we come together and we fight and we stand up for the people who are the least seen. Dr. King marching out there with the sanitation workers in Memphis and giving a speech the night before he died, including talking about reaching that mountaintop. And he says, I may not get there with you. And a lot of people would say that was prophetic and that was dark and that was a horrible moment. But I see that as a moment of hope. I see that as a moment of a true leader who understands it is no one person who will make our labor movement rise up and take on capitalism like it must be taken on. In that moment, Dr. King deputized all of us to stand up for the labor movement that has to be in place in order to put a check on capitalism and make good on that American dream. The true American dream. In 1945, my union organized a group of women fighting all kinds of discrimination. And in 1 year, we negotiated the first contract. And in that first contract, we got double-digit pay increases. We got a cap on the number of hours that we could work. We got a seniority list so that managers could no longer try to coerce flight attendants to trade sex for schedules. And the seniority list that we use to beat back all the other discriminatory practices to make sure that anyone with the heart of a flight attendant could be one. And we got an 8-hour day. And we got an 8-hour day because for 80 years before that, the labor movement fought and died for that 8-hour day. But somewhere along the way, we forgot how to fight. We forgot how to say the word strike. We forgot how to talk about the power that Mother Jones told us we had. When she said that capitalists say there is no need of labor organizing except the fact that they themselves are continually organizing, shows us their real beliefs. The capitalists want the most amount of labor for the least amount of money, including slavery. Labor wants the most amount of money for the least amount of labor. Be proud of that. Productivity that we create goes in our pockets too. Labor creates all the wealth and built the world's palaces, but neither spends that wealth nor dwells in those palaces. If you would only understand that you hold the solution in the palm of your hand. If, for example, if all of labor were to simply hold up and stop working from every industry, the capitalists would yield to any and all demands because the world could simply not go on. Strike because we know that there are people who help us do our jobs in each of our jobs, and none of us could do it alone. We got to strike because we have to understand that an injury to one is an injury to all. And as they come for federal workers, they are coming for the lives that our unions built. We can thank FDR, and we can thank Francis Perkins for the New Deal. But what we have to understand it was workers in mass strikes that set the standards of the American dream. And it has been working people with unions that have been on decline, who have suffered the effects of not having workers understand that an injury to one is an injury to all. When they come after one group, they're coming after all of us. And what I learned in the airline industry with 80% of us organized is that the same things that had happened in all these other industries, if I stood out on the picket line with the grocery workers, with the bakery workers, with the auto workers, with the truckers, you would hear the same story over and over again because they had figured out how to try to take more and more from us and have us begging for work. And that is what they are doing with climate change too. They are denying the science because they want to get it to such a desperate place that we will be willing to accept anything. And so the capitalists are building dick rockets to go to Mars when they leave the rest of us on planet Earth. Right here at Delta Airlines. It is about showing other workers that when we come together, we can win. It is about building the power that we need to take on capital and to have our seat at the table. When COVID came, we learned what we learned from 9/11, and we said we're not about to let the corporations decide how this is going to go. We set the terms and we put forward terms, AFA and IAM fighting together to make sure that there would be a payroll support system where government funds would be passed through to the workers. We would keep our jobs connected to our health care in the middle of a pandemic. What a thought. Continued retirement contributions, continued payment of state and local taxes to support our teachers and the other people who work in our communities. And we put some requirements on them too. They had to cap their executive pay and ban stock buybacks and dividends. We had a conversation outside of Congress where the airline industry agreed with us to this platform, and we went together to go get it. And every single airline followed through on that agreement except for one. The only thing that, first of all, the only CEO that didn't come to Washington to try to save the aviation industry and all of the jobs that we count on was Ed Bastian. But he sent his legislative team up to the Hill to do one thing, and that was to strip out of the draft language that they could not use any federal dollars to interfere with a worker's free right to decide to join a union. That was what they were worried about. Remember this. They have taken our money. They have the control right now, and they have our money. They do not have a lick of power, because nothing on this earth turns without us. And so if we understand our power in this moment and we organize together and we have each other's backs, we can take action, strike action, organizing action, moral action, and we can take control to take back our money. So, if you believe that healthcare is a human right, build your union. If you are done with pension defaults for Main Street and stock buybacks for Wall Street, build your union. If you believe that we can work together to save our planet and where we live, build your union. If you believe that destitute people just looking for a place to live should be treated with dignity rather than that they are illegal, build your union. And if you believe that you are worth it and you deserve a raise that shows it, build your union. And finally, if you just want to tell those greedy MFers to kiss your ass, build your union.
Are y'all ready to raise your voices? Are you ready to be heard? I'm going to take you at your word for that. You know, it's a very dangerous thing asking a crowd of Minnesotans to sing along to a song. My father was telling me in the 80s, he went up near Moorhead for this rally that Jesse Jackson was holding during the farm crisis. He had Jesse Jackson up there, he was doing that great call and response. He was saying, you know, who is it grows all the food, you know, feeds this great country? Well, Ole and Hjelmer and the rest of those Norwegian bachelor farmers gave him about the sternest nod they could, which for them was a real show of emotion, you know. But that's not going to cut it tonight. You're going to need to sing it.
Come on now.
There can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun.
All of your support. Yeah.